Welcome to the Unstoppable Joy podcast, where functional medicine meets the power of Jesus Christ. I'm your host, Kathryn McAdam. I'm a functional medicine nurse practitioner, a Christian speaker, and author, and co-founder of Sozo Functional Medicine. My journey through health challenges, heartache, and overcoming adversity has deepened my understanding of healing. It's not just the physical, but also mental, emotional, and spiritual. In every episode, we explore the path to greater joy, vitality, and spiritual awakening. This podcast is for anyone seeking not only physical wellness, but also spiritual renewal, firmly rooted in the teachings of Jesus. So, whether you're a devoted listener or joining us for the first time, welcome to the Unstoppable Joy podcast. We'll be offering you the tools and wisdom to unlock your true potential and experience boundless joy. So, pull up a chair, grab your favorite beverage, and let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to the Unstoppable Joy podcast. I have here today with me my husband, Joe. Hey, Joe.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So, we've been just chit-chatting about healing, and you know, Joe loves sports. What's your favorite, Joe? Do you have a favorite?
Not necessarily. Depends if you're playing or if you're watching. I don't think I have a favorite.
But what did you play a lot?
Basketball in high school. And I had some opportunities to play at other places. Like I got to play at Duke's fantasy basketball camp a couple of times. That was really cool. With like former Duke players and coaches and meeting all sorts of interesting people from around the nation.
Yeah, I just remember you from high school always wearing the Duke colors and Duke fan wear.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy that I was a fan of them so long before that.
Anyway, so one of the things that I guess it humors me, it probably doesn't humor Joe so much, but whenever he's watching football, basketball, whatever, the announcers say some really ridiculous things. And some of my favorites are that other team, they just wanted it more. And they just need to move the ball down the field more.
Right. They just got to get the ball in the basket. I mean, they're having a rough time getting the ball in the basket.
Anyway, they just say some really crazy things. And I know this doesn't really sound like it goes together, but it kind of reminds me of what Jesus said to the man at the pool of Bethesda. He asked him, "Do you want to be healed?" And our topic for today is, do you want to be healed? And we're going to discuss this a little bit. I'm going to have Joe start by reading the story. It's in John chapter 5, verse 2 through 8.
Now there is in Jerusalem, near the sheep gate, a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by 5 colored colonnades. Here a great number of disabled people used to lie, the blind, the lame, the paralyzed. One who was there who had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" "Sir," the invalid replied, "I have no one to help me into the pool when the water is stirred. While I am trying to get in, someone else always goes down ahead of me." And then Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your mat and walk."
So this story is just so interesting to me because in the healthcare field, I have a lot of people that have a lot of issues and they come in and they want to get better, or they say they want to get better.
I think if you hold on for a second, though, I know.
What could you say?
Well, I was just thinking that on that, a lot of people don't know that what the pool was. I got a greater appreciation for it watching The Chosen. When the pool started to bubble, then the people that were ill, they all rushed towards it, and I think it was the first person or the first few that got in, or if you got in while it was still bubbling, I'm not sure on that part. That they considered that they would get healed by that, which is, I think a greater visual helped to discover that.
Yeah. So in this story, as Joe was saying, is he did a good job explaining it. So this pool, they don't really know what was stirring the water. I don't know if it was like maybe some sort of like underground spring or what was troubling the waters is what I think the King James Version says. And maybe it had healing properties because it was like a hot spring. I'm not quite sure, and the Bible doesn't really explain that here, but this was a place where it wasn't in the Jewish culture to actually seek healing here. It was more of a pagan thing. And so here's this man who is sitting there, and he is looking to be healed by this pagan means. And Jesus approaches him and he asks him, do you want to be healed? Just like it goes back to the football or the basketball team. They say, well, the one team wanted it more. In anything in life, we have to really want what we are looking to achieve. And it's one thing to say you want something, but it's a whole different thing to actually go after that. And I think that's what they're probably saying, those announcers. That's probably what they're meaning, don't you think, Joe?
Yeah, I would say definitely.
We like to watch sports dramas, and we always are rooting for the underdog. And there's all kinds of stories about the underdog that ends up being the quarterback of the team and carrying them on to victory. So many stories about these athletes that have overcome insurmountable odds to get to where they are. They were like, who was the guy that was the last pick?
Yeah, that's a good point right there. In the Super Bowl this year, it was Patrick Mahomes, who's now won, I think, 3 out of 5 Super Bowls, and he was playing against Brock Purdy, and he was the last player picked in the draft, I think, 2 years ago. He was a third-string quarterback. Didn't think, he'd even make it. He'd make it. The first 2 got hurt. And he came along and won like every game he played in for his first season at the end of the season.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and he's a big follower of Jesus and very spiritual, and thanks God for all that he has in his life. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, so, this guy was the Purdy guy, right?
Yep, Brock Purdy.
So,
I think, yeah, don't you remember you saying that was a pretty good play?
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, we were saying how pretty good he was. Anyway, so he could have given up. He could have been like, well, I'm last string and nobody really wants me. I'm the very last pick. And he could have had a totally defeated attitude and not really tried his hardest, but he did. And in the end, it ended up paying off. So back to this guy who's at the pool, and Jesus is asking him, do you want to get healed? What is his first response?
I mean, his first response basically was he has no one to help him in the pool when the water bubbles up, and that someone always gets there before he does. So he was kind of making excuses of why he couldn't get into the pool.
Mm-hmm. Healing and health and any kind of success, it really stems on us being willing to get out of that victim mentality and stop blaming our circumstances, stop blaming what others did to us. And that's one thing that I really had to overcome in my situation with, I ended up being homeless and all the crap that I went through with my ex-husband. I really could have stayed defeated and angry and hurt and unforgiving. And I had to work all that out. I had to do the work, spend the time in the therapist chair and spend the time working on healing myself, body, mind, and spirit, spending time with the Lord, actually starting to exercise and look at what I was eating and pay attention to those things for me to be able to recover from that and heal from those wounds and that trauma. So we have this guy at the pool of Bethesda, and Jesus does heal him, but he has to be willing to be healed. I've said it before that God is a gentleman. He's not going to force his way into your life. And it does take us partnering with him. The Lord wants us to be well. It wasn't that Jesus was questioning, if he could heal the guy. He knew he could heal him, but he had to have his willingness to participate in the healing. As I'm treating my patients, they have to have a willingness to make some changes in their lifestyle in order to allow their bodies to heal or to help their bodies heal.
It seems to me, and you've talked about it before, is too many people want a magic pill, basically, especially when they come see you in an urgent care or whatever, or walk-in clinic, that they want a magic pill. They just think an antibiotic's going to fix them, or this pill's going to fix them. For the COVID, what's the COVID one that?
Oh,
Paxlovid that everybody thought was going to fix them, and it's just at some point you just got to start from the inside of yourself, and you got to take the steps one at a time to do it. It's not a magic pill that's going to come help somebody and fix them.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of how we got into the problem where we are right now in the medical realm, is people have become so complacent and so dependent on a pill for an ill, right? They just want a quick, easy fix. They don't want it to inconvenience them anytime. A lot of these medications do have these horrific side effects. And so if there's natural ways of doing things, if there's a way that you could manage your diabetes or your inflammation so you don't end up having to lose a foot or have any kind of surgery, and not that there's not a place for that, there's definitely a place for modern medicine and medications, and I'm not recommending anybody go off their medication. You have to be partnering with your doctor and do what they're asking you to do. If your doctor is saying that you need to lose weight, if they are saying that you need to manage your blood sugar, and hopefully they're giving you tools to do so. And that's kind of where functional medicine comes in. A lot of these doctors don't have the knowledge base of nutrition and the lifestyle changes and then being able to support their patients because they're just so overloaded with patients. And that's the beauty of functional medicine is when people come to me, I can help them individually and make a plan with them that they are then agreeing to. And it's not just, here, take this pill and follow this diet that fits everybody else without doing a little research and know who this person is in front of me and what's their lifestyle like? What is their family life like? Are they having a lot of stress around eating, and do they have trauma in their past? How are they digesting their food? And there's all kinds of advanced labs that we can do in functional medicine that help us to really get to know our patient deeper and then be able to help them and not just put a Band-Aid on a problem. So
yeah, a lot of times you do have to get to that root cause of things. A lot of the things that you have going against you, like eliminating sugars, and adjust our diets and our exercise accordingly. And I mean, everything goes from the gut and everything, like you've taught me and we've been learning. So it's just exciting.
Yeah, so, the whole thing of it is you have to be willing to do the work, to put the work in. If you just want this drive-through mentality of care, then that's like, you don't get a 5-course meal from McDonald's, right? You get highly processed, greasy. It might taste good at the moment, but in the long run, it's terrible for your health. It's not gonna do any lasting benefit to you. It might feed you for the day, but what you really need is to have this good nutrition that's going to satisfy what your body needs, the requirements that your body needs so that it can heal itself. And it's the bottom line is, do you want to be healed? Like, how bad do you want it? Are you willing to take the time to explore some of these health issues that you've been having and work with somebody who is willing to take the time and invest their time in you? And it does take money. The whole medical mentality that you have at your family doctor or any modern medical center it's just a mill. And I've heard so many of my patients say, I just feel like a number. My doctor doesn't know me. I've been going to see them for years, but they know nothing about me. And it's just sad. But the fact of the matter is these doctors are overloaded, and it's part of the problem of our medical system. We have all these insurance companies that are putting pressure on these doctors, and also the credentialing agencies, and they're required to do certain things to treat you when you come in with certain ailments. And if they don't, then they're not following the practice guidelines, and they have to answer to credentialing boards. And then if the patient then comes back and says, well, you didn't do this, then they really don't have a leg to stand on because they didn't follow the practice guidelines, which is there for reasons. But I've just found, like, in medicine, one size does not fit all. There's so many variables. There's so many different things going on with each patient that it's really difficult. And when someone comes to their doctor and their complaints, their symptoms don't fit into one of the different ICD codes, diagnosis codes, if it doesn't fit into one of those boxes, if they can't treat you, they really don't specifically know what to do with you. And they don't have time to investigate or dig deep into those things, unfortunately, because, again, they are so overrun with patients. They don't have the time. And that's the wonderful thing about functional medicine is we take a small number of patients, and the reason is because we want to be able to get to know our patients well and spend that time getting to know and deep diving into their symptoms and their health, and listen to them and find out their goals and their struggles and do what's best for the patient in front of us.
You went over a patient's labs the other day, someone who was 6'7", it might have been, I won't say who it was, But it was interesting that you were telling me about how all of our labs could tell not just what was going on now, but what had gone on in the past and what we have to overcome with like my cortisol, that I had almost trained my body to stay up in the working late nights and in the bar restaurant business, and my whole body rhythms and everything like that are still trying to adjust to that. And we have ways that reverse so that that's healthier. And my mind, I will eliminate the brain fog in my mind. What are some of the other things that
the anxiety, yeah, and just retraining your circadian rhythm so that you are getting good sleep. And really, sleep, like I talked about last week, is just so important. That is the time that our body detoxifies and it repairs it. When you're not having good sleep, it can wreak havoc on all different parts of your body. It can mess up your digestion. And as we're always working on our own health, we know from personal experience what it's like not to feel good, to have gut issues, to have anxiety, to not be sleeping well, and have hormonal issues. And so having somebody who's been there and understands what you're going through, struggling with weight, feeling like you're having trouble either taking off weight or putting on muscle, whatever that is, we've been there and we know from personal experience, we know how to correct that. We've had some small and big wins in our course so far. And the question is, do you want to be healed? Are sick and tired of being sick and tired? Is it time for you to focus on you and really working out whatever this is? And then the next part of that question is, are you willing to do what it takes to be healed? Right?
And that's why we lead by doing the same thing that we're going to have everybody else do. They're all going to have their individualized paths, but we're going to be there doing the same things. We're going to support people, and everybody's going to support each other to get through the struggles and come out on the other end better off, healthier and clear-headed. And it's exciting.
The number one thing is deciding, do you want to get better? Do you want to be healed? And the second question is, what are you willing to do? And then that's where we come in, and we know, like, how do we do this? How do we do this together? Because that's the one thing that, I've heard from my patients too, is like, well, my doctor tells me I have to lose weight, and he's giving me these medications because my blood pressure's high, and I need to eliminate salt from my diet. And then the patient's just frustrated in that because they've done these things their doctors have asked them, but yet they're still not losing weight. And so that's where we can come in to help do a deep dive and know what's really going on with the patient. There's insulin resistance, there's hormonal imbalances, there's gut issues that can basically cause you not be able to lose weight, leptin resistance, where your body basically, when you have somebody who has a lot of adipose tissue and extra fat around their middle, that fat actually starts to produce its own hormone, and that leptin, then your mind should be notified by that leptin that you're not hungry anymore. But some people are resistant to that. And so their body, even though they are full, even though they have excess weight on, their mind is still telling them that they're hungry. And when you're in that kind of situation, it is really hard to lose weight, because even though you have eaten a full meal, you still feel hungry. You don't feel satisfied. And so you just tend to eat more.
Another thing that a lot of people say and think, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I will, is like when a doctor tells you to do something, but you can tell they're not doing that themselves, when they don't look healthy, but they're telling you to make changes to your entire life. See, that's where we want to say that we're going through these things. We've been through these things of middle age and dealing with the hormones and dealing with the extra weight and dealing with the brain fog. We need to, I think people our age, and even before this, the earlier you start on anything, the better, but need to get a grasp on it now, because you don't want it to progress further down the road. This is the best times now. The best time was, what do they say? It was 20 years ago to do something like this, but the second best time is now. So it's just, we went through the problems, and we're going through the solutions with you.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to the beginning. Do you want to be healed?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to get well? Mm-hmm. And that's what Jesus asked him.
And that's our question. Here Jesus is healing somebody, but this man, he had been sick for years.
38 or something like that.
Yeah, 38 years. That's a long time. And sometimes we can take on that as part of our personality. Oh, I have my diabetes, or I've got my high blood pressure or I got my heart problem. And we can start to like really internalize that as part of our identity. Yeah. And so it takes a breaking out. It takes a breaking out of who you used to be and embracing who God has for you. The healing is not just physical, it's emotional, it's mental, it's spiritual. And that's the wonderful thing, I think, also about functional medicine. I'm a little biased, but I just love the fact that I can openly share with my patients there are spiritual aspects of healing. There are mental and emotional aspects of healing. If you're continually seeing yourself as a fat person or an unhealthy person, then you will continue to act on those thoughts and those beliefs. And many times we need to break out of that.
Mm-hmm. And it helps, too, if you have support around you. Mm-hmm. I mean, the best is your spouse or whatever, or family. Mm-hmm. But it helps to have somebody that's going along with it. I mean, since we've started dating or whatever, I think I'm down 30 pounds. But since we got married and everything like that, my latest test results were just last week, and all my numbers were down. Just by the way we have our meals together, if you're trying to do something, I support you. If I'm trying to do something, we support each other. Mm-hmm. And it's only going to be a win-win in the long run for both of us.
Yeah. And I know that's the thing. We really want to create community and support so people can be themselves, but then also achieve the best them that they can be.
Yeah, it's exciting.
The most healthy. So, well, I hope you found this informative and entertaining. And I hope that you just want it more.
Oh, I was going to say that. You beat me to it. Just like the announcers. You just got to want it more than the other team.
Just got to move the ball down the field.
Put the ball in the basket.
All right. Have a great rest of your week.
Take care.
Be blessed. Hey, before you go, how about subscribing to the podcast so you never miss an episode? Also, we would so appreciate a review. It helps others to find this podcast, and it gives us an idea of what you like and what you don't like. Also, to find out more about Sozo Functional Medicine and how to be involved with me, head over to sozofunctionalmedicine.com. That's SOZO functionalmedicine.com. And you'll be able to find out more about what we're doing with Sozo, how to book me as a speaker, and how to book a free 15-minute consult. So, hope to see you there. Be blessed.